Layla had always believed life was simple. She loved small pleasures. Walking through the park with Ayan, the laughter of children playing, the smell of freshly baked bread. Her world, though modest, was full of warmth. But all that changed the previous winter when Omar, her husband, passed away suddenly. He had been her anchor, her partner, and the father of her son. His absence left a hollow ache that no time could fill. The first days after his death were a blur. Friends visited with quiet condolences. Neighbors offered meals, but nothing could reach the depth of her sorrow. Nights were the hardest. Layla would sit in the dark, holding Ayan close, whispering to him stories of his father, trying to shield him from the reality of loss that she herself was struggling to bear. She felt as though life had stopped, frozen in a moment of despair. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The town had moved on, people returning to their routines, but Layla remained trapped in her grief. She often wandered through the empty rooms of their small house, touching Omar's belongings, hoping to feel some trace of him. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, she discovered a small wooden box she had never seen before. Inside, there was a letter with her name written in Omar's familiar handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The letter read, "Layla, if anything happens to me, I trust you to carry on what we dreamed together. You will carry my son, and he will know the warmth of our love." She stared at the words, her heart racing. What did he mean by carry my son? How could this be possible? Confusion, sadness, and a strange sense of responsibility washed over her all at once. She clutched the letter to her chest, feeling Omar's presence in the quiet room as if he were speaking to her from somewhere beyond. Life continued in its quiet rhythm. Layla woke early every morning to prepare breakfast for Ayan, got him ready for school, and then returned to a house that echoed with emptiness. She tried to focus on simple tasks, but every corner reminded her of Omar. She would sometimes find herself talking to him aloud, asking for guidance, though she knew no one was listening. Nights remained the loneliest. Ayan would fall asleep quickly, exhausted from the day, and Layla would sit by the window, staring out at the snowy streets, lost in memories. The town, small and close-knit, whispered among themselves about Layla's struggle. She noticed the pity in people's eyes, and while some offered help, it often felt like a burden. She wanted to manage on her own, to show she could survive, yet the weight of solitude pressed heavily on her heart. Financial worries began to creep in. Omar had left life insurance, but it wasn't enough to cover everything. Bills piled up. The heater broke in the middle of winter, and she had to figure out how to manage without the comforting hand she had taken for granted for so long. One day, while walking home from the market, Layla saw a mother struggling with a crying child. She offered a gentle smile and some comforting words. The mother smiled back, grateful. Layla realized she had the capacity to care for others, to find small moments of connection even when her own heart was heavy. It was a reminder that life still existed beyond grief, though it was difficult to see. Back at home, she opened Omar's letter again. She studied every word, trying to understand the meaning. He had always been thoughtful, always planning for the future, but this felt like a mystery. Could he have foreseen something she didn't? The thought both comforted and frightened her. She placed the letter on the bedside table, letting it rest there, a silent companion during her sleepless nights. Winter grew harsher. Snow covered the streets and the chill seeped into her bones. Layla bundled Ayan in layers of clothing, making sure he stayed warm. She worried constantly, afraid that something could go wrong, that she wasn't enough to protect him. At the same time, the silence of the house became overwhelming. She missed Omar's voice, the sound of his laughter, the simple way he would take Ayan on his shoulders and spin him around in the living room. Memories of him were both a balm and a torment. Despite her grief, she tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. She cleaned, cooked, and cared for Ayan as best as she could. She found solace in small routines. A hot cup of tea in the morning, a short walk through the park, reading a story to Ayan before bed. Yet there was always a lingering emptiness. Nights were long, and she often found herself staring at the ceiling, whispering to Omar, asking why life had to be so cruel. Her friends reached out occasionally. Some invited her to small gatherings, hoping to lift her spirits, but she often declined. She felt out of place among people who hadn't experienced such loss. One evening, a close friend insisted she visit for tea. They spoke quietly, and for the first time in months, Layla felt a flicker of normalcy. It was a reminder that life, though painful, continued. She returned home that night with a small sense of hope, carrying Ayan into the warm house, feeling the weight of responsibility and the strange, growing sense of curiosity about Omar's letter. As the weeks passed, Layla began noticing subtle signs of life moving forward. The mailman would wave, neighbors greeted her warmly, and Ayan laughed more freely. She found herself smiling at small moments, a bird landing on the windowsill, the way sunlight reflected off the snow. Though the pain remained, she realized she could still find fragments of joy. One snowy afternoon, while sitting by the window, she imagined Omar speaking to her. She thought about the letter again. Perhaps he wanted her to find love, to allow life to surprise her, to nurture not only Ayan but the possibility of a future she hadn't yet dared to imagine. The thought was frightening and comforting at the same time. She held Ayan close, feeling his small heartbeat, and whispered promises to both of them, to survive, to protect, and perhaps one day, to find happiness again. The winter stretched on, long and unforgiving. Yet in the quiet of her house, amidst memories and letters, Layla began to sense that life could hold unexpected gifts. The letter remained on her bedside table, a reminder of love, promise, and the mysterious ways it could manifest. She did not yet know how her journey would unfold, but a tiny spark of hope had been lit, a spark that would guide her through the coldest days and, eventually, toward warmth she had not believed she could feel again. Winter had returned in full force, blanketing the town in thick snow. Layla walked slowly through the streets, Ayan holding tightly onto her hand. Her thoughts drifted back to Omar and his letter. She could not shake the feeling that the letter held more than just words. It felt like a message meant to guide her, though she did not yet understand how. One afternoon, while carrying groceries up the slippery steps to her home, a man appeared seemingly out of nowhere. He was tall, with dark hair and kind eyes that immediately softened the corners of her heart. He noticed her struggling with the heavy bags and stepped forward without hesitation. "Here, let me help you with that," he said, his voice gentle and calm. Layla hesitated for a moment, wary of strangers. But there was something about his presence that felt safe. With his help, she carried the groceries inside. "Thank you," she said, her voice quiet. "I didn't expect anyone to be around to help." "It's no trouble," he replied with a soft smile. "I'm Ehsan. I just moved here a few weeks ago. I like helping when I can." Over the next few days, Ehsan would often appear at unexpected moments. Sometimes it was to return a book he had borrowed. Other times it was to lend a hand with chores that had piled up. At first, Layla kept her distance. Her heart was fragile and the memory of Omar was ever present. But Ehsan was patient, never pressing, never intrusive. His presence was calm, steady, like a small flame in the long winter nights. One evening, as she was preparing dinner, Ehsan knocked on the door with a basket of warm bread and fresh vegetables. Ayan ran to the door, laughing and pointing. "Uncle Ehsan," he called, wrapping his small arms around the man's waist. Layla watched them, a mixture of surprise and relief washing over her. Ehsan's gentle way with her son struck a chord deep inside her. Perhaps this was the kind of connection she needed, though she did not yet allow herself to admit it. The days that followed were filled with small moments of human kindness. Ehsan would occasionally stop by for tea, sometimes helping with errands and sometimes simply sitting quietly while Layla worked. In his presence, the air felt lighter, and the house felt less like a place of sorrow. Ayan began to talk about Ehsan constantly, excitedly telling his mother stories about what they did together. Each night, when she tucked him in, Layla felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling she had not experienced since Omar's death. One particularly harsh evening, the wind howled through the streets, rattling windows and doors. Layla had just finished preparing dinner when she heard a knock on the door. It was Ehsan, bundled in a thick coat, holding a small box. "I thought you might need some firewood," he said softly. "It's freezing tonight." Layla accepted it with gratitude, realizing how much easier life had become with someone who cared. Over tea, they spoke quietly about their lives. Ehsan shared stories about growing up in another town, about his parents, and about the loss he had experienced himself. Layla listened, feeling a connection that was rare and fragile. Here was a man who understood loss without needing to be told. The hours passed, and for the first time in months, Layla felt as if her grief could breathe, if only for a moment. As winter deepened, Layla noticed how Ehsan had become a part of her daily life. He helped with small repairs around the house, checked in on Ayan's school projects, and sometimes joined them for walks through the park. Layla began to trust him, though she remained cautious. She knew her heart was still fragile, and she did not want to be hurt again. One evening, while they were watching the snow fall, Ehsan spoke quietly. "Layla, I know it's hard to trust again, but I want you to know that I am here. No expectations, just support. I care about you and Ayan, and I hope you can see that." Layla felt a lump in her throat. His words were honest, without pressure, without demands. She realized that maybe life was beginning to offer her a second chance, a chance she had not dared to hope for. The memory of Omar's letter resurfaced. Perhaps this was what he meant. Perhaps carrying his son's spirit did not mean carrying on alone, but allowing love to enter their lives in new and unexpected ways. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Layla and Ehsan grew stronger. They shared meals, laughed quietly at small jokes, and supported each other through daily struggles. Ayan thrived in this warmth, often smiling more freely, more confidently. Layla began to feel a sense of normalcy returning, though she knew the journey was far from over. One cold morning, as she walked through the market with Ayan, she noticed Ehsan talking to a shopkeeper, smiling warmly. The sight filled her with a strange comfort. He was becoming part of her world, not just as a helper or a friend, but as someone who could potentially share her life. Yet fear lingered. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing herself again, fear of stepping into something she did not fully understand. Ehsan, in his quiet way, seemed to sense her hesitation. He never rushed, never demanded. He simply continued to show kindness, patience, and understanding. Slowly, Layla found herself opening up in small ways, sharing stories of her childhood, her dreams, and even the fears she had long buried. With Ehsan, there was no judgment, only acceptance. One evening, as they sat by the window watching the snowfall, Ayan fell asleep on the couch. Layla turned to Ehsan, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to feel," she admitted. "Part of me feels guilty for even thinking about moving forward." Ehsan took her hand gently. "There's no need for guilt, Layla. Omar loved you. He would want you to find happiness. Life doesn't end with loss. It changes, and sometimes it brings unexpected gifts. You deserve warmth and love again." Layla felt tears prick her eyes. His words resonated deeply, echoing the message in Omar's letter. Perhaps this was the direction her life was meant to take. Perhaps carrying Omar's memory and embracing the possibilities of the present were not mutually exclusive. She let herself lean slightly closer to Ehsan, feeling the safety and quiet understanding he offered. As winter wore on, small miracles appeared in Layla's life. A friend offered to help with bills, neighbors shared meals, and the local community began to recognize her resilience. Through it all, Ehsan remained a steady presence, never intruding, never demanding. His quiet support was a balm to her weary soul. One day, while Ayan played in the snow, Layla and Ehsan sat together on the porch. The sun was setting, casting golden light on the glistening snow. Layla felt a sense of peace she had not known in months. She realized that life could still offer joy, love, and connection, even after profound loss. And in that moment, she understood that Ehsan's presence was a gift that could guide her through the cold and into the warmth she had long forgotten. Though winter was harsh, Layla found herself looking forward to each day with cautious hope. She began to plan small outings, bake treats with Ayan, and even consider the possibility of allowing herself to love again. The letter from Omar, once a source of confusion and sorrow, now felt like a guidepost, a reminder that life could continue and that love, in its many forms, could find its way back into her heart. As the snow fell softly around their home, Layla felt a quiet certainty. She did not yet know the full path her life would take, but she sensed that she was not walking it alone. Ehsan's kindness, patience, and understanding had created a space where healing could begin. And for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to believe that winter, though cold and unforgiving, could also bring unexpected warmth, hope, and the promise of a new beginning. The harsh winter continued, but something had changed in Layla's heart. The days were still cold, the wind still sharp, yet a sense of quiet hope lingered in her home. Ehsan had become a regular presence not just in her life but in Ayan's. The boy would eagerly wait for him to arrive, counting the minutes until they could play together in the snow or read a story. Layla watched from the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup, and felt a warmth she had not known in months. One evening, Ehsan arrived at the doorstep looking weary. He had been helping an elderly neighbor with repairs, and the work had left him exhausted. Layla insisted he come in, offering him tea and a warm blanket. Ayaan ran to him, holding his hand as if to guide him into the house, a simple act that brought a smile to Layla's face. The sight of her son feeling so comfortable with Ehsan made her realize how much the man had already become a part of their lives. As they settled in, Ehsan spoke softly about his own struggles. He shared memories of a childhood filled with challenges, of dreams he had long put aside, and of moments of loneliness that had shaped him. Layla listened, feeling a deep connection. In him, she saw someone who understood pain, loss, and resilience. She realized that they were both navigating their own winters, yet somehow finding light in each other's presence. The conversation grew more personal as the night deepened. Ehsan's voice was steady and calm, carrying a sense of honesty that put Layla at ease. He spoke about his desire to make a difference in the community, to care for others, and to build something meaningful. Layla found herself opening up, sharing memories of Omar, the struggles of the past months, and the fears that often kept her awake at night. It was a moment of vulnerability that she had not experienced in a long time, and yet with Ehsan it felt safe. Ayaan eventually fell asleep, his small body curled up on the couch. Layla and Ehsan sat in silence for a moment, listening to the soft rhythm of the winter night. Then Ehsan spoke, his voice gentle but sincere. "Layla, I care about you. I care about Ayaan. I don't want to rush anything, but I want you to know that I am here. You don't have to face this alone." Layla felt tears prick her eyes. His words were not demanding, not expecting anything in return. They were simply an offer of support, of understanding, and of companionship. She thought of Omar's letter, and how it had weighed heavily on her heart. Perhaps this was what he had meant. Not that she needed to carry life alone, but that she should allow love and support to enter her world again. The thought was both frightening and comforting. In the following days, the bond between Layla and Ehsan grew deeper. They shared small routines, morning walks with Ayaan, preparing meals together, and quiet evenings by the fire. Ehsan's presence brought stability and comfort, a sense of normalcy that Layla had feared she would never experience again. She began to trust him, relying on his help not out of necessity, but because it felt natural and right. One afternoon, as they were shoveling snow from the walkway, Layla noticed Ehsan pause and look at her with a thoughtful expression. "Layla," he said quietly, "I know it's difficult to think about the future after loss, but I want to share something with you. I've always wanted a family, and seeing you and Ayaan, it feels like a second chance, not just for me, but for all of us." Layla's heart raced. The words stirred a mixture of hope and fear. She had never imagined opening her heart to someone again. Yet here was a man who seemed to care without expectation, who understood the fragility of her world, and was willing to walk gently beside her. The memory of Omar's promise returned, and for the first time it felt less like a burden and more like a guiding light. As the days grew colder, Ehsan fell ill from the harsh weather. A fever left him weak, and Layla found herself tending to him with a care she had not realized she possessed. She cooked nourishing meals, brought him blankets, and sat by his side through long nights. In caring for him, she discovered a renewed sense of purpose, a reminder that life could still hold moments of meaning even amidst hardship. One evening, as she helped him sip warm tea, Ehsan reached for her hand. "Layla," he whispered, "I know this is unexpected and I don't want to overwhelm you. But I feel something here, something real. I don't want to force it, but I want you to know that I am willing to be patient to let this grow in its own time." Layla's eyes filled with tears. The honesty in his voice touched her deeply. She thought of Omar, of the letter, and of the winter nights she had spent alone. Perhaps this was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to embrace the present while honoring the past. She squeezed his hand gently, a silent acknowledgement of trust and possibility. Over the next few weeks, the winter continued to be harsh, but the warmth in Layla's heart grew. Ehsan's presence became a steady rhythm in their lives, a source of comfort and joy. Ayaan laughed more freely, exploring the snow-covered streets with a new sense of adventure. Guided by Ehsan's patient and playful hand, Layla found herself smiling more often, feeling the weight of grief ease if only slightly. One snowy morning, as their Prepared for a walk to the park, Layla noticed the sun breaking through the clouds, casting a golden light on the frozen landscape. She felt a sense of peace, a quiet certainty that life could continue, that joy could return, and that love could be found even after profound loss. Asan's presence had brought a gentle rhythm back to their lives, a reminder that healing often came in small, unexpected ways. As they walked through the park, Ayan building a snowman and laughing, Layla felt the first true sense of hope in months. She realized that life, though unpredictable and often painful, could still offer moments of beauty, connection, and love. Asan's kindness, patience, and understanding had created a space where healing could begin, and she allowed herself to embrace it fully. That evening, as they returned home and settled by the fire, Layla reflected on her journey. She had been lost in grief, isolated by sorrow, and yet here she was, opening her heart to the possibilities of the future. The letter from Omar, once a source of confusion and heaviness, now felt like a guiding light, leading her toward new beginnings. She understood that carrying his memory did not mean carrying life alone, but embracing the unexpected gifts that life could offer. As snow continued to fall outside, blanketing the world in silence, Layla felt a quiet certainty. She did not yet know what the future held, but she knew she was not walking alone. Asan's presence, Ayan's laughter, and the warmth of their growing bond were proof that even in the coldest winters, love and hope could thrive. And for the first time in a long while, Layla allowed herself to truly believe in the promise of tomorrow. Spring arrived slowly, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. The snow melted, revealing patches of green in the park where Ayan ran freely, his laughter filling the air. Layla felt the change around her and within her. The once heavy weight of grief had begun to lighten, replaced by a quiet hope that she had not dared to imagine. Asan's presence had grown steadily in their lives, and the bond between them was undeniable. One morning, Layla noticed subtle changes in her body. She felt unusually tired, her emotions heightened, and a strange sense of anticipation that she could not explain. After a visit to the doctor, she discovered that she was pregnant. The news brought an unexpected mixture of joy, fear, and uncertainty. She thought of Omar and his letter, feeling a deep sense of connection and peace. It seemed as if the promise he had made so long ago was unfolding in its own time. Asan was overjoyed when she told him. His eyes sparkled with warmth and excitement, and he held her hands gently. "Layla, this is wonderful. We will face this together. You and Ayan will not be alone. I promise to support you every step of the way." His sincerity touched her deeply. She realized that her heart had room for both the memory of Omar and the love that Asan offered. The past and the present could coexist, shaping a future filled with hope. As the pregnancy progressed, life took on a new rhythm. Layla spent her days preparing for the baby, decorating a small room with soft colors and gathering necessities with Asan's help. Ayan was excited about becoming a big brother, asking countless questions and imagining all the ways he would care for the new baby. Layla smiled at his innocence and enthusiasm, feeling her heart swell with love for both her children. Asan became an unwavering pillar of support. He attended every doctor's appointment, helped with household chores, and spent evenings reading to Ayan. His patience and care brought a sense of stability to their lives, and Layla found herself relying on him not out of necessity, but because it felt natural and comforting. The small town, once quiet and indifferent, began to notice the change in Layla. Friends and neighbors who had watched her struggle with sympathy now admired her resilience and the life she was building. The community began to offer support in small ways: meals, help with errands, and simple acts of kindness that reminded her she was not alone. Layla felt a renewed sense of connection, realizing that the world still held warmth despite past hardships. One afternoon, while Ayan played in the yard, Layla and Asan sat together on the porch. The sun cast golden light across the garden, illuminating the soft green buds of spring. Asan spoke quietly, his voice filled with emotion. "Layla, seeing you like this, preparing for this new life, fills me with hope. I want to be here for you, for Ayan, and for our child. I want us to face everything together no matter what comes our way." Layla felt tears well in her eyes. His words were honest, gentle, and unwavering. She thought of Omar and his letter, realizing that this moment was a continuation of his promise, a reminder that life could still bring unexpected joy. She reached for Ahsan's hand, feeling the warmth and certainty in his touch. As weeks turned into months, Layla embraced the pregnancy with cautious joy. She cooked nourishing meals, decorated the nursery with care, and shared quiet moments with Ahsan, speaking softly about hopes and dreams for their growing family. The love between them grew steadily, a foundation built on trust, understanding, and shared experiences. Ayhan's excitement became infectious. He helped his mother prepare the nursery, choosing toys and books with care. He often whispered to Layla about how he would protect the baby and be the best big brother. Layla smiled at his innocence, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the life she had, for the love that surrounded her, and for the unexpected twists that had brought them together. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in hues of pink and orange, Layla sat with Ahsan on the porch reflecting on her journey. She thought of the long winters, the sorrow and isolation, and the letter from Omar that had guided her through it all. She realized that life, though unpredictable, had a way of leading her to exactly where she was meant to be. The past, present, and future intertwined, creating a tapestry of love, resilience, and hope. The weeks passed and the day finally arrived. Layla went into labor in the quiet of the night, with Ahsan by her side holding her hand and whispering words of encouragement. Ayhan slept nearby, unaware of the miracle about to unfold. The hours were long and challenging, but Ahsan's presence provided unwavering support, a steady rhythm amidst the pain and anticipation. When the baby was born, the room was filled with tears of joy and relief. A healthy boy, strong and perfect, opened his eyes for the first time. Layla held him close, feeling the warmth and life he brought into the world. She named him Zayan, a name that symbolized hope, life, and continuity. In that moment, she felt a deep sense of peace, as if Omar was watching over them, proud that his promise had been fulfilled. Ahsan held Layla and Zayan together, his eyes shining with emotion. He whispered softly, "Welcome to the world, little one. We will protect you, love you, and guide you. You are our joy." Layla felt a wave of gratitude and love, realizing that life had given her a second chance, a chance to embrace the present while honoring the past. The days that followed were filled with adjustment and tenderness. Layla and Ahsan shared the responsibilities of caring for the newborn, while Ayhan eagerly helped in small ways, proud of his new role as a big brother. The house, once silent and somber, now resonated with laughter, cries, and the gentle hum of daily life. Each moment was a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. Layla reflected on her journey, from the devastating winter of Omar's passing to the unexpected joy of Zayan's birth. She understood that life's path was unpredictable, filled with sorrow and pain, but also with love, hope, and unexpected blessings. The letter from Omar, once a source of confusion, now felt like a guiding light, leading her to the life she had built with Ahsan and her children. As spring turned to summer, the family thrived. They spent days exploring the park, taking walks by the river and sharing quiet evenings at home. Layla felt a sense of fulfillment and peace she had never thought possible. The love between her, Ahsan, Ayhan, and Zayan created a bond that was strong, resilient, and enduring. In quiet moments, Layla often thought of Omar and whispered words of gratitude for the guidance his letter had provided. She realized that love, even after loss, could continue to shape life in beautiful and unexpected ways. She had learned that carrying someone's memory did not mean carrying life alone. It meant embracing the possibilities of the present and allowing new love to grow. The story of Layla, Ahsan, Ayhan, and Zayan became one of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of human connection. Winter had tested them, grief had challenged them, but love had prevailed. And as they watched the sun set on another beautiful day, Layla felt a quiet certainty that the journey ahead, though unpredictable, would be filled with warmth, joy, and the promise of life's endless possibilities. The first winter after Zayan's birth arrived quietly, covering the town in a soft blanket of snow. The streets, once silent and empty during the harsh winters of the past, now echoed with laughter and joy. Ayhan ran ahead, pulling a small sled behind him, while Zayan, bundled in soft blankets, rested in Ahsan's arms. Layla watched them, a deep sense of fulfillment washing over her. Life had shifted in ways she had never imagined, and the warmth she felt inside her heart was a testament to resilience and love. The days were busy but joyful. Mornings were filled with the laughter of children, the aroma of fresh bread, and the soft hum of daily routines. Ehsan had become an irreplaceable presence, not just as a helper or friend, but as a partner, a father figure, and a source of unwavering support. Layla found herself relying on him in ways she had once feared, realizing that sharing life did not diminish her strength, but enhanced it. One chilly morning, as they walked through the park, Ayan excitedly pointed at the snow-covered trees. "Look, Mama!" "Look, Papa," he shouted, his small voice full of wonder. Layla smiled, noticing the easy comfort and joy that had returned to their lives. She held Zayn close, feeling his tiny heartbeat, and whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude. The winters that had once been cold and lonely were now filled with warmth, laughter, and life. Ehsan's support extended beyond the everyday tasks. He was attentive to Layla's emotional needs, listening when she shared memories of Omar in the past, and comforting her during moments of doubt or fear. He never rushed her, never demanded more than she could give, and allowed her to navigate her grief in her own way. In his presence, Layla felt a sense of safety she had not known in years, a feeling that allowed her to embrace life fully once more. As the winter days passed, Layla reflected on her journey. The letter from Omar, once a source of confusion and heaviness, had guided her through the darkest times. Its message was no longer a burden, but a beacon. She understood now that carrying his memory did not mean carrying life alone. It meant being open to new beginnings and trusting that love, in its many forms, could still find her. Evenings were a time for quiet reflection. After Ayan and Zayan were tucked into bed, Layla and Ehsan would sit by the fire, sharing stories, hopes, and dreams. They spoke of the future, of the plans they wished to make, and of the lessons they had learned from the past. Each conversation strengthened their bond, deepening the trust and understanding between them. Layla realized that love was not about replacing the past, but about creating a future that honored it. One particularly snowy evening, Ehsan took Layla's hand in his. "Layla," he said softly, "seeing you and the boys like this, I feel that life has given us a gift. We have faced hardships, grief, and uncertainty, yet here we are together. I promise to stand by you, to care for you, and to protect this family we are building." Layla felt tears well in her eyes. His words were sincere, steady, and filled with love. She thought of Omar, of the letter, and of the long winters she had endured. In that moment, she understood that love could grow anew, that life could be rebuilt, and that hope could flourish even after the deepest sorrow. She squeezed his hand, silently acknowledging the promise they were making to each other and to their children. The town, once quiet and indifferent, had become a place of connection and community. Neighbors stopped by to see the children, offering small gestures of kindness, a plate of warm cookies, a shared story, or an invitation to play in the snow. Layla felt the support and warmth of those around her, realizing that resilience was often nurtured not just by love, but by the small acts of care that made life meaningful. As winter deepened, Layla noticed how Ayan and Zayan's laughter filled the house with light. Their innocent joy reminded her of the preciousness of life and the importance of embracing every moment. She found herself smiling more freely, laughing without hesitation, and feeling a sense of contentment she had thought was lost forever. The house, once a place of sorrow, had become a home of love, warmth, and hope. One afternoon, as they sat together near the fireplace, Ehsan spoke quietly. "Layla, the journey we have taken has not been easy, but looking at you, at our children, I feel that every challenge has led us to this moment. We have built something beautiful, something worth protecting and cherishing." Layla nodded, her heart full. She thought of Omar, of the letter, and of the path that had brought her to this life. The memories of loss were still present, but they were no longer a source of despair. They were reminders of love, resilience, and the capacity of the human heart to heal and grow. The first snowfall of the season arrived one evening, transforming the town into a quiet wonderland. Layla, Ehsan, Ayan, and Zayan stepped outside, feeling the crisp air on their faces and the soft snow under their feet. They built snowmen, laughed, and played together, reveling in the simple joys of life. Layla felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that despite the hardships and losses, love had found its way back into their lives. As they returned home, tired but happy, Layla reflected on the journey she had taken. The winters of grief, the lonely nights, and the letters from Omar had shaped her into a stronger, more compassionate person. She had learned that life could be unpredictable, that sorrow and joy often intertwined, and that love could appear in the most unexpected forms. That night, as she tucked Zayan into bed and kissed Ayan on the forehead, Layla felt a quiet certainty. Life would continue to have challenges, but with Ehsan by her side and the laughter of her children filling the house, she knew they could face anything together. The promise in Omar's letter had been fulfilled, not in the way she had imagined, but in a way that brought life, love, and hope into her world. As the fire crackled softly in the background, Layla and Ehsan sat together, holding hands and listening to the quiet night. They watched the snow fall outside, feeling the beauty and serenity of the world around them. In that moment, Layla realized that winter, though often cold and harsh, could also bring warmth, new beginnings, and the promise of life's endless possibilities. The story of Layla, Ehsan, Ayan, and Zayan became one of resilience, love, and hope. Through loss and grief, they had found joy and connection. Through patience, trust, and compassion, they had built a family filled with warmth and happiness. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that life, with all its surprises, had more beauty and love to offer than they could have ever imagined. Months passed since the first snow had settled over the town, and life for Layla, Ehsan, Ayan, and Zayan had settled into a comforting rhythm. The children grew stronger and happier each day, their laughter filling every corner of the house. Layla often found herself marveling at how much life had changed, and how unexpectedly joy had returned to her world. One crisp morning, Layla stepped outside to see the frost glinting on the grass, the early sunlight casting long shadows. Ayan was already outside, energetically building a small fort from fallen branches, while Zayan, swaddled warmly in a blanket, observed the world with wide, curious eyes. Ehsan knelt beside Ayan, helping him lift heavy branches, both of them laughing as the fort slowly took shape. Layla felt a deep sense of peace as she watched them. She thought of Omar's letter, once a source of confusion and worry, now a guiding force that had led her to this unexpected happiness. The promise he had left her, the idea that she would carry on life and love, was fulfilled in ways she had never imagined. The letter had been more than words. It had been a compass pointing her toward healing, resilience, and the possibility of a new family. As the weeks continued, Layla and Ehsan began discussing their future in more detail. They talked quietly in the evenings, planning small trips, thinking about their home and imagining the life they wanted to create for their children. It was not a grand or hurried plan, but one built slowly, thoughtfully, and with deep care for each other. Each discussion strengthened their partnership, creating a bond that was steady, reliable, and full of trust. One day, while walking through the marketplace, Layla ran into an old friend she hadn't seen since Omar's passing. The friend hugged her tightly, eyes filled with tears. "You look happy," the friend said softly. "Truly happy. I haven't seen you like this in years." Layla smiled, feeling a warmth that went deeper than the surface. "I am happy," she admitted. "Life has changed, yes, but in ways I never imagined. I have love again, and my children are surrounded by it. I feel like we found our way back to something important." Ehsan joined them, giving Layla's hand a reassuring squeeze. "It's been a journey, but we're building something real," he said quietly, his eyes filled with sincerity. Layla felt a surge of gratitude for him. His patience, kindness, and unwavering support had allowed her to open her heart fully, to embrace life again, and to trust in the possibility of happiness. Back at home, the children's laughter echoed through the hallways. Ayan eagerly showed his mother and Ehsan a new game he had invented, and Zayan, now older and more alert, watched with fascination. Layla felt a quiet pride as she observed their curiosity, playfulness, and growing bond. She understood that love, patience, and consistent care were shaping them into confident, happy children. One evening, as the family sat together by the fireplace, Layla reflected on the past months. The winters had once been a time of sorrow and isolation, but now they were filled with warmth, connection, and joy. She thought of the small moments that had mattered the most: quiet conversations with Ehsan, the laughter of her children, the letters from Omar that had guided her through darkness. Life had taught her that even the coldest winters could be softened by love, hope, and human connection. Ihsan noticed her thoughtful expression and gently took her hand. "You've come so far, Layla," he said softly. "I've watched you carry so much, yet you've grown stronger. You've built a family filled with love, and I feel honored to be a part of it." Layla smiled, her eyes misty. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. "You've been patient, understanding, and kind. You've shown me that life can be beautiful again, even after loss." As winter stretched on, the town began to feel alive with community and connection. Neighbors stopped by with small gifts, invitations to gatherings, and words of encouragement. Layla realized that she was no longer alone in navigating life's challenges. There was a web of support, both from her immediate family and from the people around her, that made life feel lighter, warmer, and more manageable. The children grew more confident each day. Ayan learned to ice skate, laughing gleefully as Ihsan helped him balance, while Zayan's curiosity led him to explore the world around him, always under careful watch. Layla took joy in their small accomplishments, feeling a deep satisfaction in witnessing their growth and happiness. It reminded her that love was not just an emotion, but a daily practice, woven through the routines, care, and presence shared between family members. One quiet evening, as snow fell softly outside, Layla and Ihsan sat together, watching the flickering fire. "I never imagined life could be like this after everything," Layla whispered. "I thought grief would always overshadow joy. But now I see that even after loss, life can offer beauty and happiness beyond what we expect." Ihsan nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "Life has a way of surprising us," he said. "Sometimes it gives us what we need when we least expect it. We've built something strong together, and our family is proof of that." The following weeks were filled with small adventures. The family went on walks in the snowy fields, visited local markets, and spent time in quiet reflection. They celebrated birthdays, small victories, and ordinary days with gratitude and love. Through it all, Layla felt a quiet sense of fulfillment. She had navigated grief, embraced unexpected love, and nurtured a family that brought warmth and light into her life. One afternoon, as they returned home from a long walk, Ayan ran ahead, exclaiming with excitement about a new discovery in the garden. Zayan toddled after him, wobbling but determined, while Layla and Ihsan walked together, holding hands and sharing a quiet smile. It was a simple, ordinary moment, yet it carried the weight of all they had endured and all they had built. Life, with its challenges and surprises, had brought them to a place of joy, connection, and stability. As the night settled over the town, the family gathered together in the warmth of their home. Layla held Zayan close, whispered to Ayan about the wonders of the world, and shared a quiet glance with Ihsan. The past, once filled with sorrow and loss, had given way to a present rich with love, laughter, and hope. The letter from Omar, once a mysterious guide, had led her to this life, a life full of unexpected blessings, deep connections, and enduring happiness. Layla realized that life's journey was never straightforward. It was shaped by loss, grief, hope, and love, each element teaching its own lessons. She had learned that the heart could carry sorrow and joy simultaneously, that trust could be rebuilt, and that life could be renewed in ways that exceeded imagination. As she watched her children play and listened to Ihsan's gentle laughter, Layla felt a profound sense of gratitude. Winter, once a symbol of isolation and sadness, had become a backdrop for renewal, resilience, and the triumph of love over loss. She understood that life, though unpredictable, had a remarkable capacity for healing and growth. In that quiet, snowy evening, Layla made a silent promise to herself and her family. She would continue to nurture the love and joy that had returned to her life, honoring the past while embracing the present. She would guide her children with patience, care, and compassion, teaching them the value of resilience, connection, and hope. And she would walk alongside Ihsan, sharing a life filled with trust, understanding, and shared dreams. The story of Layla, Ihsan, Ayan, and Zayan became a testament to the enduring power of love, the resilience of the human spirit, and the beauty of life's unexpected turns. Through grief, patience, and unwavering care, they had found a life rich with warmth, laughter, and hope. And as the snow continued to fall softly outside, Layla knew that the promise of life, love, and new beginnings would continue to guide them through every season to come. He swore by winter, You will carry my son." The widow's life took a surprising turn.